What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to the channel. Just wanted to give you all a little food for thought for the night before. I promised I would drop this video on my live stream today, and here it is. Now, first off, episode 2 launches tomorrow, which is Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Now, this is on Steam. We don't have a set time when PlayStation and Xbox is going to launch, but it is in certification already, so it could quite potentially be at the same time or very near it. We don't know yet. As soon as we know when Sony and Microsoft are going to push those through, of course, I will get that word out to you all. First things first, people wanted to ask about the loot filter. Now, don't let the new loot filter confuse you, y'all, because I know a lot of folks are going to get a little overwhelmed by it. Of course, I don't have access to it right now, as the PTR is closed, so I can't show you exactly what it's going to look like. But it is essentially the same thing. The only difference is it's going to have different layers. So you can add as many filters on top of filters as you choose to specify each particular thing. Say, for example, let's just go ahead and reset this loot filter down to 0. Let's say, for example, I wanted to start a loot filter for just offhand items. And I'm only looting level 105 offhands at the moment, so I want to set a loot filter specifically to pick those up. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loot filter. There's going to be an option to create a layer. I'm going to create this one. I'll just name it, say, offhands, and then I'm going to set it up just like I would just for the offhands. So, for example, all I care about is 105 offhands, so I'm going to go ahead and set the minimum and maximum to 105. Then I'm going to go over to weapons, and I'm going to check all of the offhands. So the shield, the ammo pouch, the whetstone, and the staff. And boom, that layer of the loot filter is done. So all this particular item will loot is level 105 shields, ammo pouches, whetstones, and tomes. One thing I would say, remember the loot filters all stack on top of each other. So if you accidentally check something on one loot filter, it's going to apply that to everything if it's something along the lines of always include fusion or something on those lines. Now, on the same note, I know a lot of people like to use always include fusion, but remember, if you select, say, fusion, this means that the only element is going to drop, or the only element it will loot is fusion, meaning that like an offhand or an accessory won't get picked up because those are non-fusion items. So instead of clicking fusion, click always include fusion. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, all of these element types could just be straight up removed from the filter, as for my personal uses, they're definitely not needed. However, I'll put out a more detailed video on the loot filter in the coming days after the update launches. However, I just wanted to get that out there to people. Let them know, just go one tier at a time. Set a filter, say, for armor. Say, for armor, all you want is armor that has, say, 420 upgrades or better. So what we would do there, our upgrade range is set to 420. If nothing else is checked, we would come into armor, check all the armor types we are concerned about, and then now any of these armor types, we could even take that one step further and go as far as armor itself goes. Any of these armor types that are fusion pieces that have at least 420 upgrades on them, it's going to loot. And then that filter would be done for armor, and I would create another one for, say, weapons or whatever I am particularly going for. Now, another thing is runes. We know that runes are common. They're a huge part of the update, and they're very, very game-changing. So to get super rare runes are going to drop at quality levels between 1 and 8. Quality 1 runes, of course, are going to drop super commonly. Additionally, the higher difficulty you play, the more chance for higher quality runes. Now, this works exactly like loot. This has been confirmed from Phil. If it makes your loot better, it will also make your chances of getting a higher quality rune better, which means, for example, instead of playing survival, you would want to play mixed mode, as mixed mode will have a higher chance of that 8 of 8 quality rune. Additionally, of course, you would want to use hardcore, as hardcore is a direct loot multiplier. And then on top of that, remember, you would also want to add in the bonus difficulty. So a Lichen King bonus difficulty at Massacre Hardcore is going to yield the highest potential drop of a rune that you're looking for. Now, where do you farm these runes? Well, we're going to be able to see all of that in-game. However, Aramir was kind enough to put some images together of where all of the runes drop. Now, you will be able to see this from the interface in-game. I will put a link up above in the cards to a video I did on the PTR that shows you exactly this function. But what runes do you want, and where do you go to farm them? Well, runes have a preferred drop location. What this is referring to is the victory chest. So if you do the map that the rune is preferred on, the victory chest has a higher chance of dropping that particular rune. Now, additionally, remember, runes drop from mobs, just from mobs on the ground as you're fighting, just like loot would. So runes also will drop anywhere in the same act as the preferred map. Now, for me personally, of course, I can't tell you what to farm, but I can tell you what I'm going to farm. And these are the runes I'm most excited about. First things first, I'm going to start right off in Act 1. I'm a big fan of the Lightning Tower. The Pulsator rune is available here in Act 1. It's preferred on Magus Quarters. Additionally, the Flash Buff rune. This rune is the one that turns your Flash Heal on your Summoner into a tower boost. I definitely want to get those runes, so I'm going to be playing a lot of Act 1. Now, in addition to that, we've got some runes like Lightning Strikes, which I'm going to want to pick up. We've got Explosive Striker for the DST I'm going to want to pick up. We've also got Spin to Win for the Rogue I'm going to want to pick up. Well, these runes will all drop throughout Act 1, so playing any map in Act 1 is going to yield these runes. Now, for me personally, after I either get the runes I want or more likely get a little bit burned out on Act 1, I'm going to move on to Act 2. Act 2 has got a couple more hot items that I personally am really looking for. Number 1 would probably be Shell Shocked. I love using explosive traps. Enemies are slowed by 30% and deal 30% reduced damage for a time. Now, this rune, of course, is just awesome. It's like getting a Strength Drain aura, and it's like getting an Ensnare aura all tied into your explosive trap. It's just really, really good. Now, additionally, in Act 2, I'm very, very excited about this Overdrive rune. Overdrive is a game changer in my opinion, and I am going to be using it heavily and coming up with some really fun builds. Now, in addition to that, in Act 2, we've got the Kobold Launcher, which if you're going to use Ogre minions, you're going to want to have the Kobold Launcher down. On top of that as well, I am a big fan of what I've seen with the Spiders. So, Spider's Poison is going to drop in Act 2 as well. Now, after I finish on those acts, I mean, Act 3, Act 4, or Act 5, where do you go? The sky is the limit. Now, I definitely want Exploding Wisps. That one is favored from the keep and is a super hot rune. A few other ones I'm going to want. Bouncing Magic is just really fun to play with, and if we're going to be using LTs anyway, Magic Missiles are going to be a free fusion tower. Let's see, what else do we have? Broadhead Rounds is crazy good. That is a rune for the Rogue that is going to be just a beast of a DPS game. And then I personally am pretty stoked about Harpoons. So in Act 4, that Poison-Tipped Spears is going to drop right there. Now, Act 4, of course, is where I get the Exploding Wisps as well. We all know I love me some Wisps. And that is really the route I'm going to take for the first day. Now, the thought of getting all of those runes that I just listed as 8 out of 8 on the very first day is 100% unrealistic. However, I'm going to go for it. I am going to go for it. So I'm hoping I at least get like 1 or 2 of them on day 1 as the update launches. But there is just a little bit of pre-update hype for you. I do apologize for anyone that the notification of this video woke you up. I try not to publish videos around this hour. However, I know people are excited about tomorrow and excited about runes, and I am no exception, and I am ready for the grind. But that is going to do it for now. Thank you all an absolute ton for watching, and I will see you tomorrow right after the update goes live. You know I'm going to as well. I'll see you then, y'all.